So I'm here in a car park inside my car, a completely different location, and definitely not a cinema car park. The film I'm going to talk about I actually watched over a week ago, and I didn't do the review immediately because sometimes I don't. I try to, but it doesn't always work like that. And then days went by and I went to see another film and I reviewed the other film, and I now can't remember what the other film was. What was the other thing I went to see? Nope, no idea. Review's already up for it. Whatever it is, whatever the last thing on my channel is, that's the last thing I went to see. So this film is called Warfare, and it is written and directed, or co-written and co-directed, by Alex Garland and Ray Mendoza. One of those names might be familiar to you, the other name might not. So Alex Garland is a British writer and director. He famously wrote the novel The Beach, which is excellent. That was turned into the film The Beach, which is not excellent. I've seen it once, it was terrible. But he's carved out this really incredible career for himself. He's made films like Ex Machina, and at the beginning of last year, he released a film called Civil War, which was excellent, not to be confused with the Captain America Civil War. That was a war film about a war photographer, and he is back in sort of not similar territory at all, but now I'm loath to call it another war movie because that feels reductive. Anyway, Alex Garland's name should, if you know anything about films or you watch films, should mean something to you. Ray Mendoza, on the other hand, might not be a name you're familiar with. Ray Mendoza was a Navy SEAL for 15 years, I believe, so he's done tours in Iraq and other places. And once he stepped down from his military role, he actually moved into being a military advisor in Hollywood. So making sure that Hollywood gets warfare, I don't mean the film, but the depiction of war as close as it can be to accurate. That's what Ray Mendoza does, but he's a storyteller in his own right. So Alex Garland approached Ray about telling a story, telling a war story, but telling a specific story about a specific incident. So rather than, some overarching thing, it was going to be about one incident that takes place, and it would take place in pretty much real time. And the result of that collaboration is the film Warfare. And it is spectacular. It is 90 minutes long. It is harrowing. It is hard to watch. It is powerful. It's not showy. It's not chest beating America, hell yeah. These are young men, young Navy SEALs in Iraq, in Ramadi in 2006, and we follow them through one incident. Now, the incident in question is a real thing that happened, and it happened to a guy called Elliot. So Ray Mendoza wanted to tell the story. So the story that he's telling with this cast and with Alex Garland is a real incident that happened to Ray and his fellow Navy SEALs. They are in Ramadi. They take over a house so they can basically set up as snipers and keep an eye on some local activity that they feel is suspicious and dangerous. And over the course of the film, they find themselves under attack. So with Alex Garland, they gathered the stories of the men. All the men involved had to give their permission and they had to give their account. The interesting thing about the story is I guess the focal point is what happens to Elliot and how they get Elliot to safety if they can. Elliot doesn't remember anything about the incident itself. So this is the story as told by all the men around him, his brothers, his fellow Navy SEALs in that platoon. At the beginning, we meet the company of soldiers. It's such a weird opening. It's really like striking. You get the blurb on the screen that tells you this is a real incident. It's told from these men's memories, all that sort of stuff. Then we get the soldiers, the SEALs, ready to go into battle. They're all kitted out, or they're sort of stood together, and they're watching the video for Call on Me by Eric Prydz. Now, if you are my age or thereabouts, you will remember this video, it was a very memorable video. It's the one with the aerobics class. So Call on Me by Eric Prydz is playing, and you've got groins thrusting and shiny thighs and iron pumping. Like the video made quite an impact. So the soldiers are watching this video, and then the next thing we know, they are on the ground, they are under the cover of darkness, and they are trying to find a position to set up so they can, like I say, do their thing. So they find a house, they take it over. It has a family in it. It's quite shocking. They mean no harm to the family. They just want to use the house to have a good position to keep an eye on who they need to keep an eye on. So you watch them set up, take their positions, you see everybody doing their jobs, you sort of start to get a feel for the dynamics of the group, who's the guy in charge. So in charge of the company is, well, the guy's played, and I don't remember everybody's name, so I apologise. I remember Ray and I remember Elliot for obvious reasons. So I'm going to go with the actors' names that I know. So Will Poulter is in charge. The cast all nicknamed him Daddy because he looked after them both on set and off. Now, I talked about Will Poulter at length in my Death of a Unicorn review, so I won't go on about him again, but he is absolutely brilliant in this. You've also got British actor Cosmo Jarvis. He plays Elliot. You've got the wonderful Kit Connor. We've got Joseph Quinn. Like, it's a mix of British and American actors. Obviously, they're all playing American Navy SEALs. And actually, once they're in the house, kind of nothing happens for a while. And you just see them doing their jobs, checking in with each other, interacting, chatting, looking through the scope of the sniper rifle. And then it all goes to shit. A grenade gets chucked in through the window. There's absolute mayhem. And Elliot gets injured. His hand gets hurt. So they request an evac for him. They want to get him out of there so he can get medical attention. The I guess tanks, again, I don't know the terminology, so I apologise. The tanks come to retrieve Elliot, and as they're making their way out, obviously they're under attack at this point. As they approach the vehicle to get Elliot to safety, they're hit with an IED. And it is so shocking. And the sound design on this film is incredible. Like, you get the ringing in your ears, you get like this, well, you know, as close as you can to what it would have felt like to them. They can't hear each other, they can't see each other, it's dusty. But as I said, all of this is done in such a non-showy way. It's just raw and scary. And you see them then try, I think it's Ray, trying to drag Elliot back inside. And then they're trying to get medical, basically then they need medevac again, but even more so because from having one injured party with an injured hand, we've now got two men, Joseph Quinn's character and Cosmo Jarvis's character, both have significant, potentially fatal injuries. And you get to experience how disoriented they feel, the panic. Kit Connor's soldier is easily the youngest in the platoon, and obviously that's probably why they cast him, because he's got such a lovely baby face. He's 21 now, but you know, he's still that fresh face, and they even make jokes about him during the film about him being the new guy, and he just looks terrified. And they're checking in on each other, they're trying to keep each other calm, and you see the bond, the sort of the impact that this has. And like I say, that's it. It's 90 minutes from this is the platoon watching Call on Me. This is them on the ground under the cover of darkness trying to break into a house to take it over. This is what happens to them. And this is the end of the incident. That's it. It's not a film that you'd say, oh, I really enjoyed that, but it's important, it's brutal, it's fascinating. Does it tell me what it's like to be in Iraq? Absolutely not. I was sat in a cinema seat. I was really comfortable. Nobody was throwing IEDs at me. Can you throw an IED? I don't actually know. No one's throwing grenades. No one's shooting at me. But it is an incredible piece of filmmaking. So the Ray Mendoza is in the film, like not him, but there's a character playing him. That's how real this is. That's how close to home. They've told an incredible story with an amazing cast. Everybody in it is superb. And it's really, I think it's an important film. I know that might sound a bit wanky, but it is. I'm really glad I've seen it. I may never watch it again, but it's powerful and it's important, and I encourage people to go and see it. Yeah, it's excellent. Well done to Alex Garland and to Ray Mendoza and to the outstanding cast. It was a good one. Thanks for watching. Katie out.